Hello and welcome to the Murder Media Podcast, where we analyse and overthink true crime content. I am your host, Dr. Stella Marie Gaynor. You can follow the Murder Media Project over on Instagram and Facebook at murdermedia81, that's the numbers 81, or email me directly at murdermedia81@gmail.com, and you can find all episodes on Spotify, iTunes and Amazon Music. Hope everyone is doing okay this week. I pre-record these, so where I am in the year at the moment is I'm in the final 2 weeks, I think, before... 2 weeks. Hang on, let me look at the date on the top of my laptop. 2 weeks before teaching starts, and like every other academic, like every other lecturer that I know, we're all, frantically getting all our teaching materials together, and this is where we all realise that all those grand writing plans that we had for the summer, we've just not done them. We've not got nearly as far through them as we thought. This morning I had a look at my summer plan that I wrote back in April, and April Stella was very optimistic about what I was going to get done over the summer. Some of it's happened, some of it's not. I did launch the podcast, right, and I did a few episodes and I did make some headway into the book proposal, but everything just takes longer than you think, doesn't it? And because of the structure of my job, I end up taking most of my leave over the summer holidays, so that 6 or 7 week break between teaching that you think you can write and research, you don't, and that's when I end up taking most of my holidays. Anyway, not moaning. I love my job. It's just, every year we have this realisation that, I didn't get that finished, did I? I didn't quite get there. Anyway, let's get down to this week's episode. This week, I thought I'd go in a little bit of a different direction. So we're still talking about murder media, and we're still talking about how stories are told across media. But this is a particularly interesting and very contemporary form of true crime. And it's the true crime that we find over on YouTube. So we're back on YouTube, and this time we're looking at true crime that overlaps with ghost hunting. I don't know if I'm going to include this kind of true crime in the book, the true crime that overlaps with ghost hunting, though as I say that out loud, I realise that I might do. Ask me in about a year. But what I'm interested in, as you know by now, is how murder stories, how they're told, how contemporary murder media crosses and moves across all media, all different types of platforms, and how contemporary murder media has started to fold in and use other genres that might seem at odds perhaps with the true crime content. So last week, was it? No, it wasn't last week, it was the week before. We had a look at comedy and true crime. A few weeks before that, we had a look at Bailey Sarian and her murder mystery and makeup series, which combines makeup and true crime. And we looked at how Bailey Sarian tackled Bundy, or Billy Bullshit as we call him over here, and we learned that Bailey gives some autonomy back to the victims. We talked about how the usual torn and destroyed female body in Bailey Sarian's murder mystery and makeup videos, that's replaced with a celebrated female body by the application of makeup and Bailey's beautiful face herself and her colourful tattoos. So in this episode then, we're back on YouTube, and this time we're with a channel that's called Glam Gore. What's Glam Gore? So it's a YouTube channel, obviously, Stella. It's been around for about 9 years. It has nearly 4 million subscribers, and Glam Gore, I think, was either the first or the second, but it was definitely top 2, first or second YouTube channels that I ever subscribed to. I've been following her for a long time, and it was through Glam Gore that I found Spencer Henry of Cult Leader. So Spencer is Mykie, who runs Glam Gore. It's one of her friends. I think she had him on a video, or she told her followers to go and check out Spencer's stuff, and I did. So that's how I ended up following Spencer's true crime / cult journey. So Glam Gore began primarily as a channel for special effects makeup, hosted by Mykie, and she herself is a makeup artist. Now, in the 2 years before the COVID pandemic, Glam Gore branched out during the Halloween seasons to do something just a little bit different. So Mykie wanted to branch out from just sitting down and doing makeup tutorials, and we'll get to that in more detail in a little bit, but for now I want to get to the murder bit. So I said last episode, when I tried, and I really tried, to discuss visual comics on an audio medium, I'm still not sure about that decision, but it's out there now. I said I'd look at a piece of historical murder media, in this case the Lizzie Borden murders. Now, I think that the Lizzie Borden case is common knowledge, but in case it's not, and you've never heard of it, in brief, here is what happened, or allegedly happened. On the 4th of August 1892, Abby Borden was found murdered, having been struck 19 times with an axe. Her husband, Andrew Borden, was also murdered with the same axe. Economical. But Andrew Borden just had the one blow this time, just struck the once in the face, and it completely split his skull in two, and the axe was left buried in his face. I imagine so it was pretty hard to wiggle the axe out if it's completely, cleaved. No, better word. Bisected the skull. Quite hard to sort of pop that back out. The case remains unsolved, as the main suspect, Lizzie Borden, Andrew Borden's daughter, was acquitted. The Borden family was not the happiest by all accounts. After deaths and remarriages, basically you've got a family of people, all grown-up people, living in a gaff together who don't really get on. So I'll try and explain the soap opera-like relationships in the house, and I'll put a picture of the Borden family on the Instagram post for this episode. We've got Lizzie and Emma Borden, who were born to Sarah and Andrew Borden. Sarah died of natural causes. Andrew then remarried to Abby. John Morse was Lizzie and Emma's uncle. He's brother to the dead by natural causes Sarah. John Morse, this uncle, he'll become very important later on. So Lizzie and Emma, in a classic style, they didn't like their stepmother Abby. It was thought by many that she married Andrew Borden for his money. So you can guess the mood in the house. Probably a lot of, "You're not my mum, you can't tell me what to do," going on. At the time of the murders, remember Abby Borden, the new wife, and Andrew Borden, father to Lizzie and Emma, they were murdered incredibly violently, like I said, with an axe. But at the time it happened, apparently only Lizzie and the maid were in the house. Emma Borden, Lizzie's sister, was away. And John Morse, the uncle, who was reportedly very close to the family and was in the house a lot, he was apparently also away that day. He was at the house the day before, and he was at the house the day after, but the day of the axe murderers, he was conveniently away. All circumstantial evidence pointed to Lizzie Borden, but at trial she was acquitted, as a woman couldn't possibly commit such a bloody and violent crime, and so it remains unsolved. And like all unsolved murders, there are many theories, and as I say that, I've just remembered that me and Laura said quite clearly we don't like unsolved cases. So I'm contradicting us again. I'm sorry, Laura, mate. Another contradiction. I also think Shelley said she didn't like an unsolved case either. So the house where the murders took place in Fall River, Massachusetts, is now, of course, because what else would it be? It's now a bed and breakfast, and you can go and stay there. So the house, it's all set up and decorated and made up to resemble how it did in 1892. So all the furniture and the beds, and there's like these photographs of the Borden family all around there, and there's even the crime scene photographs in the rooms where the crimes took place. There's a photograph of Abby Borden's dead and axed up body. So it's at this B&B that we find our YouTube channel host, Mykie of the Glam Gore channel. And it's the video of Mykie and her friend staying at the Borden house that this podcast episode is going to explore. As I said, Mykie, makeup artist, in 2019 in the Halloween season, it saw Mykie bring in some of her friends. They're other YouTubers or just her general mates, and they go ghost hunting at various supposedly haunted sites. So I think in this series, although I get the two Halloween series mixed up, but they've done an episode at the Chateau Marmont Hotel that's supposedly haunted by loads of celebrities. They've done a episode at an old abandoned prison. They've done one aboard the Queen Mary. And there's a really good one from this series, in the 2019 series, a really good one in Salem. So I recommend that you go and watch all those videos. So going and staying at a supposedly haunted site, this practice is commonly called legend tripping, which I'll come back to later. The video that I'm looking at in this episode is the one where Mykie and her friend Spencer Henry of Cult Leader and her other friend Peter, who is the tech expert, they stay in the Lizzie Borden house / B&B and try to contact the spirits of those murdered and those accused. In this YouTube video, there's a convergence of true crime, so we've got the Borden murders and ghost hunting, and a convergence of old and new media, analogue and digital technologies. And it's this convergence, this mix of old and new media to tell and maybe even solve this true crime story via ghost hunting that I want to chat about and start to unpack. And I say start to unpack because this work comes from a 15-minute conference paper I did, and I do want it to eventually be a full journal article, but you know that takes work, and I want a lot of things, don't I, out of this murder media project. So again, ask me in a year and see where I get to. Back to Mykie and friends sat in the Borden house. I've drank 3 coffees this morning, so I think that's why I keep getting distracted. I'm hopped up on caffeine. So Mykie, who repeatedly through the Halloween series of ghost hunts claims to be a skeptic, and she questions her eyes and her ears as the night at the Borden house unfolds. But despite her stance as a skeptic, and she says it a lot, as a skeptic, the use of analogue or old media combined with the new digital media, Mykie might have solved this 130-year-old case. Who killed Abby and Andrew Borden? So, like I said, it might not be an unsolved case, and maybe I'm not contradicting me and Laura, but I'll let you decide by the end. So, as said, Mykie, Spencer, and Peter are at the house. They want to find "quote unquote" evidence of spirits there, and they use technology to do this. Now, little disclaimer here. I'm not saying that I believe in ghosts or ghost hunting or whatever. I'm not saying that any of that stuff is rubbish. I'm not saying that I don't believe it. I'm not saying that I do believe it. I'm just talking about what happens in this YouTube video, okay? So it's Mykie and friends. They're the ones that are trying to connect with the dead, not me. And this is what happens. The dead, or rather communicating with the dead through telecommunications, is as old as the telecommunications themselves. Telecommunications have always been associated with the occult. The electric telegraph brought with it long-distance communications, and this was likened to the communications with spirits. Geoffrey Sconce explains this overlap by defining both, so long-distance communication and communication with spirits, as, quote, transmissions of messages between intelligences at a distance, end quote. Even the methods of conveying the messages were similar. At seances, spirits tapped out messages, much like Morse code. When Marconi developed the wireless radio, messages were transmitted through the air in radio waves, and it was thought that the dead could reside in and or communicate through these radio waves. And we see this with contemporary media. We see this in contemporary horror films like, say, Unfriended, where the ghost of a dead girl resides in the online realm. So in Unfriended, everything happens through Skype. And in the film, the girl comes back to punish those who indirectly caused her death. In fact, I think our friend, Dr. Shelley McMurdo, who was with us 2 weeks ago, it's hard to keep up, has done some work on Unfriended. But back to Mykie and her pals in the haunted murder house. So this brings us then neatly to the spirit box. It's a new gadget that Mykie brings along to the evening at the Borden house. In previous videos, Mykie and friends have mainly relied on an EMF meter. So if you don't know, these boxes detect changes in electromagnetic fields. Paranormal investigators believe that spirits can be identified based on spikes in the EMF signals they're receiving. What ghost hunters could be picking up on the device is what's left of a deceased person's mind. Professor John Joe McFadden at the University of Surrey School of Biomedical and Life Sciences proposes this as an explanation for EMF meters going buck wild in supposedly haunted places. McFadden says that an electromagnetic field is present in the conscious or alive mind, and it doesn't go away even when people die. So it's possible, says Professor McFadden, not me, that EMF meters truly are picking up the traces of something that was once human. In the Glam Gore video at the Borden house, though, the EMF reader doesn't do very much. It does, like I said, it does go completely nuts in the Chateau Marmont video and the Salem video, so go and watch them as well, and I'll link them all in the show notes. But at the Borden house, it's all about the spirit box. The box scans the radio waves in search of spirits attempting to communicate, known as radio voice phenomenon. Now, it's not the same as EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, where a tape is left recording and the messages are picked up afterwards. Radio voice phenomenon happens in real time. It can be recorded if you are, in the YouTube video that we're looking at, recording with another device. So Peter's recording Mykie and Spencer talking to and using the spirit box with a little digital camera. Or if the spirit box that you get is better than the shit one off Amazon that Mykie gets, because spirit boxes, or some of them, they have the ability to record themselves and play back what you've just done. So before I get back to what's picked up by the spirit box and then examine through modern technology, I want to demonstrate how the Glam Gore Lizzie Borden video straddles multiple media forms or multiple subgenres. So remember, it's murder media, right? We're interested in how the genre forms overlap, how they are intertextual. This is a YouTube video and it's a ghost hunting video, so as such follows the same codes and conventions of the established ghost hunting TV show, so Most Haunted, Ghost Hunters, things like that. But it's a YouTube video, so it also contains all the now generally accepted codes and conventions of a piece of YouTube content. The video starts like a televised ghost hunting show with a teaser opening of what's to come. So in this case we get a montage. Shots of the axe, the sign outside the Borden house, Mykie breathing "oh my god" and looking wide-eyed. We see the replica of Andrew Borden's split skull. We see Spencer saying "I'm done," and we have the spirit box in night vision, and then a voiceover of Mykie saying, quote, "dark energy is real or following us at this point," end quote. And then we're in a usual Glam Gore intro. Mykie says, I'm going to say it like she does because I think it's adorable. She says, "Hello, zombies." She refers to her subscribers as zombies, and I think that's adorable. Anyway, so Mykie says hello. Then we've got the background jaunty music that always accompanies Mykie's videos, or her introductions at least. And then we have the standard YouTube intros and nudges to like and subscribe. Now, like a ghost hunting TV series, Mykie and Spencer then give the known facts about the case. Who was there, who was killed, how they were killed, the trial, why the case is unsolved, etc. And this is presented via direct-to-camera address, as is expected of a YouTube video. And it also has the voiceover footage of the location where the past events took place, a recognised convention of televised ghost hunting. So we can see here that the video is already merging two subgenres together, so a YouTube video and ghost hunting TV. Now, the practice that Mykie is engaging with is, according to Coven, legend tripping, where a trip is taken to a place of interest, a place or location, or even just a building that has attached to it a legend. Now, the legend, for the sake of good TV or good YouTube content, is grisly and commonly has a murder or mysterious death, and then, of course, attached tales and claims of ghosts and apparitions. Coven says, quote, "Each new legend trip adds to the narrative core attached to the location by engaging with and replicating the legend itself. Much like graffiti, a truly terrifying encounter at a legend site ensures a kind of legendary immortality to the trippers," end quote. Indeed, what the Spirit Box says, quote unquote, to Mykie and her friends has itself become legendary. It's become synonymous with Glam Gore content, it's become synonymous with cult leader content, and general chatter about the Lizzie Borden case across the internet. So we'll find out what the Spirit Box says in a bit, but first of all, let's unpack how this video, how it ticks along. So a false scare is built into the video and it sets up the anxiety and the tension. Now this false scare, it's not intended to dupe the audience, but in post-production, Mykie and probably Peter, they would have decided to leave the footage that captures the ring light battery dying staying in the final uploaded video. So for a moment, all three of them, they're sat on the bed, they're chatting about something that's just happened, and then the lights flicker, and Mykie and Spencer jump like scolded cats. It's really funny. And in fact, thinking of cats, it's like the horror trope of the cat falling out of a cupboard, the false scare that we see a lot in horror films. So the battery on the ring light dying causes the video's first, oh my god moment, but of course it turns out to be nothing, it's just the ring light dying. Eventually, Mykie and company get down to trying to speak to a spirit in the Borden house. Like I said, they start with the EMF reader, it doesn't really do anything, so they decide to use the Spirit Box. The Spirit Box scans through different radio stations and you ask the spirits questions. Then they use their energy. This is what the internet says. It's not me. Then they use their energy to give you the answer through radio frequencies. They direct the words, as it were, of those already talking on the radio. So this is how Mykie understands the Spirit Box. In the now accepted YouTube style, Mykie tries the box, doesn't know what she's doing, and so a test card from SpongeBob SquarePants is inserted. You'll have all seen it, that one eternity later card, while Mykie, I presume, nips off to maybe look at the instructions on the Spirit Box, the box that it came in, and she learns what it does. Now, I've never used a Spirit Box, not going to lie, I kind of want to, but I'm also a little bit scared, so I'm not going to. That won't be a podcast episode. The voices, words and phrases are hard to make out. And this is what Joe Banks has called Rorschach audio. He says the voices are equivalent to audio ink blots, that listening to radio voice phenomena is more of a psychology experiment than a paranormal one. So we put in there what we think is there or what we want to hear. And this is exactly what Mykie, as a skeptic, remember, as she repeatedly claims. And she says at the start of the video, she says, quote, "Everyone in the comments wanted me to get this thing. And honestly, I didn't want to. Because to me, it's like, yeah, you're going to hear things. You're literally flipping through radio frequencies. However, we're going to give it a try." End quote. So I'm going to play you two clips. The first, some of the first questions they ask. And the second and the third, well, you'll hear them in a bit. I'll also put the relevant screenshots from this part of the YouTube video on the Instagram post. But really, I'd recommend you just go watch the full video. It's really fun. So as you listen to these clips, you listen to what they ask. And what do you think the Spirit Box says in return? I'd also note here that it's a clip of a recording of a Spirit Box that cost like $90 off Amazon, so it's not the best quality, so you might want to have your finger ready on the volume dial on your headphones or your phone or your car stereo or whatever to hear it. So I'll play this first clip and then I'll explain the codes and conventions of YouTube and how that tells us what Mykie and friends hear. Right, so eventually, Mykie and Spencer and eventually me, they get round to sitting on the floor, right where Abby Borden was axed to death. So they're in Abby Borden's bedroom. They stay there overnight as well. They're in Abby Borden's bedroom. They sit on the floor right where she died. On all three of them, so Peter's sat on the bed, Mykie and Spencer are sat on the floor, and they take turns to ask the Spirit Box questions.
There's a button to do this slower. Abby, what's the name of the person who killed you?
Play it back. Can
How?
you play it back? I don't know.
Yeah, hold on, let's stop.
I literally got a chill.
I definitely heard it get quiet and hear a woman's voice. Are you okay?
Yeah, it freaked me out though. It gave me a chill. And that's the first chill I've gotten in the whole series.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I feel like my whole body is a series of endless chills in the last hour because it's so freaking cold. Abby, what's the name of the person who killed you?
Them? Go back a little bit more.
Hold on.
Him? Them?
Them.
Mykie, what
I
does that
know.
look like to you?
I know, that's super weird. I know what as soon as I saw it, I thought of that.
So first Mykie asks, Abby, what was the name of the person that killed you? The box scans and it appears to say, them. The audio is played back and shown with the waveform, as you can see the Instagram post. You'll see what I mean. And text is overlaid to show us visually the audio of the voice via the radio waves answering, or seems to be answering, them. So in the YouTube video, as the camera is on the spirit box, in night vision of course, as it scans, as the word them appears to have been said through the spirit box, the word them is overlaid on text on the screen. Next, Spencer asks, Abby, was it John that killed you?
Abby, was it John who killed you?
Ooh, that one gave me the chills. I don't know why.
Abby, did John Morse kill you?
She was the biggest threat.
She was the biggest threat?
Yeah,
You
that's
know
what I
we have
heard
John.
too.
The spirit box appears to say, it was them. Then Spencer asks, did John Morse kill you? The box scans and replies, she is the biggest threat. Here, the YouTube conventions of text appearing on the screen interprets the spirit box. This is what Mykie, Spencer and Peter all claim to hear at the same time in the moment. But to impress on the viewer's mind that this is what it says, she is the biggest threat, the vernaculars of YouTube of overlaying text on the screen is used to exaggerate or confirm the voice on the spirit box. And now we get down to it, the answer we all want. Peter asks the spirit box a question.
Abby, did John kill you?
This is like God.
What did you hear?
It was John.
Did it say it was John? No, it
Can you
didn't.
play it?
Okay, so we asked, did John kill you, right? I'm gonna increase the gain so that we can hear it better. Okay?
This is like God.
What did it say? What did it say?
It said it was John.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
This is like God. This is like God.
Did you hear that?
My whole body's cold.
It said
Did you hear
it was
that?
John.
It was John. Play it.
Hold on, I'm gonna increase the volume again.
This is like God.
Oh my god.
This is like God.
Clear as day.
And that is a scary voice.
What?
This is like God.
No, stop it. I hate it.
This is like God.
Come on.
I mean,
And that's right. If I go back
You're
here,
tearing up too.
I've-
You're tearing up too.
This is like God.
play the question before it.
I literally go, Abby, did John kill you?
This is like God.
Come on.
No.
What?
It's a shitty piece of plastic that doesn't even record. There's no way it picked up a spirit. That's extra weird because that's also in a dead spot, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's in a dark spot,
yeah,
just like the last one
I'm
where we
done.
heard them.
yeah. It cut out and literally said it was John.
Get out of here. There's no way that's
I
real.
don't. I'm done.
You're done?
It was John.
I don't want to go to bed in
What the
here after that.
So we just heard Peter asked, Abby, did John kill you? On the video, we have a slow creep in on the spirit box as it scans, and then a voice seems to say, it was John. It's really good fun. YouTube conventions overlay punctuation rather than text at this point. We get 2 exclamation points at the point at which the box appears to say, it was John. Are these exclamation points referring to the surprise and fear on hearing the box say that it was John, or does it pertain more to how in this moment Mykie does not immediately agree with Spencer and Henry that that is what is said? So we heard in the clip that Mykie asks for a playback, and it is here, in the analogue old media, the dead existing in radio waves, how it needs to give way to new media for Mykie to even begin to believe it. So the new media, the digital technology, Peter's shiny MacBook, and the complex audio software that presents these visual waveforms, it's needed to confirm to Mykie that it was John is what is heard, and she needs to see visually the voices of the dead. This Rorschach audio for Mykie is not as clear as it was for Spencer or Peter. So we heard in the clip, Peter isolates the recording because he's recording the whole thing on a digital camera the whole time, and he replays the audio through his software on the Mac. The software shows the waveform. Again, go and look at the Instagram post or watch the full video. Or in fact, actually, save it for Halloween. Watch it on Halloween. It'd be a great Halloween watch. Peter says, "We asked if John killed you," and he presses play, and Mykie looks interested but not convinced until she hears it again, and she looks shocked, like open-mouthed, shocked. And again, the screenshots will be there on the Instagram post. Peter and Spencer play "It Was John" again and again. Mykie jumps, covers her mouth, she curls up, she complains of being cold and she doesn't like it. And for Spencer and Peter, it's as clear as day. The waveforms show visually the audio of the spirit box, the static in the scanning, and then, quite chillingly I think, the dead space where the static drops out and the voice comes in. And it's in the waveforms, in the digital visualization of the supposed voice of Abby Borden telling us it was John, that Mykie sees something. Now, this same audio signature that was detected on the waveforms from a previous ghost hunt in Salem is what makes Mykie really think that they found something. Peter goes on to explain it. He says, quote, "This is dead space," and he's pointing at the screen. He says, "This is dead space. Human speech looks alive, and the dead speech looks dead. There's nothing clearer than that." End quote. More experienced ghost hunters, or people who try to communicate with the dead through radio voice phenomena, break down the way the spirit box works by one of two ways. Either it's transformative, where the ghost manipulates the radio transmission to form their own words and phrases, or it's opportunistic. The ghost affects the spirit box in order to force it to select existing sounds to form words or phrases. The first two communications, them, it was them, she's the biggest threat, that's 3 communications, appear to be opportunistic. They sound like snippets of existing radio, selected to get a message across. The third, it was John, does, to be fair, I think, doesn't sound quite of this world. It's an example of the spirit box working in the transformative state, the ghost manipulating to form their own, and in this case, quite angry sounding words. But it's only when Mykie sees it on the waveform, sees it in the dead space, sees it in the new media, does she even entertain that it might be Abby, and that the killer might in fact have been John Morse. There's a clear disbelief from Mykie when only the old media, the spirit box, is relied upon. As a self-proclaimed skeptic, she's not sure, and she calls it a crappy piece of plastic that doesn't even record, she's not sure that it can pick up voices of the dead. And I'm not sure either, but it's still pretty creepy. Anyway, when a voice is played back, when it's given some visuals and a digital signature of sound in a dead space that's clear to see, Mykie's scepticism starts to crumble. And then, adhering to the codes and conventions of ghost hunting TV, in the safe light of day the next morning, because, like I said, they've all stayed overnight in the Borden house, in that room, after all this has happened, it was John, like they stay there overnight. Mykie and Spencer are more jokey and they're more relaxed, and they reflect on the evening's events. They repeat "it was John" to each other and have a laugh about the events of the night before. How can the subscribers trust Mykie though? If we had to consider this short YouTube Halloween series from a makeup artist in the same game as long-standing ghost hunting TV, or even alongside paranormal experts like our Professor McFadden from before, then we must consider the parasocial relationships that are built between YouTubers and their subscribers. And we've thought about this before with Cult Leader and the listeners to that podcast and how they mirror the host and each other over on Instagram. Mykie, like many YouTubers, approaches her channel as if talking to friends. That direct address, the uncertainty reduction. Subscribers feel as if they know her, and therefore they trust her, and they trust that the audio has not been tampered with. However, like I said, Mykie doesn't even trust her own ears or the spirit box, and she needs the interpretation on what she can see to even start to believe what she heard. The old media isn't enough, and YouTube conventions allow an exaggeration of this interpretation by having the text on screen, by using the vernaculars of YouTube that we are now used to. So as I said, I'll put a link to the full episode in the show notes, and I'll put a link to the Salem one, the Chateau Marmont one, and then from there you'll be on the YouTube channel and you can, have a look through them at your own leisure. And I do recommend that you watch them. They are really good fun. One last point then. How do I feel about this legend tripping and its overlap with true crime? I don't know. I'm honestly not sure. I like going to a spooky place or somewhere with history, like the grimmer the better, so, go to the Tower of London, like you said, exciting. Or earlier this year I went and walked the Corpse Path, and, you know, I like grim stuff like that. But how do I feel about trying to talk to those that have passed away when they died so violently? But then do I even believe it can be done? So maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You can, of course, comment on the Insta post or the Facebook post, or email me at murdermedia81, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what next week's episode will be. It won't be ghosts. We will stay on this plane of existence. But thank you for listening. As usual, do follow the project over on Instagram and Facebook at murdermedia81, or email me directly at murdermedia81@gmail.com. Have a good week. And now you know, you can go and tell your friends. It was John. Goodbye.